Our final inductee. All right. Let me just say, I had a chat with our final inductee, and he told me he was last, and he wasn't going to talk long. Now, unfortunately, he told me he wasn't going to talk long while talking to me for 15 minutes. So I'm a little bit worried, and I'm not really sure. We've heard the term loose cannon. Well, hot dog may fill that bill, okay? Number one, I have to apologize to him because when he came up and I looked at him, I said, what? Offensive lineman, right? And he looked insulted and told me he was a quarterback. All right. But then he said, you got to remember, though, I was a quarterback for Coach Pitts. So we never threw the ball. But he did throw the ball. As a matter of fact, one season, he threw 15 touchdown passes. Yes, my friends, for the Mary Persons Bulldogs, a record that stood for 42 years. That's pretty amazing, all right? He finished his career with 31 touchdown passes, only 5 rushing touchdowns. I take it you weren't too fast, huh, hot dog? No. Oh, yeah, that's right, you ran the option. You were always giving it to the fast guys. Not only that, though, outstanding in football, outstanding student, National Honor Society, Beta Club, and then came home to run the family dairy farm. He is the perfect epitome of a color commentator on the radio. The only problem is, once he finishes describing one play, we're about 4 plays down the road. But that's okay. Please welcome into the Forsyth-Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame, Hot Dog Wilson.
Well, I'm glad.
How many sheets of paper you got there?
Yours was already written down. I have 8, but I can get some more. I got 5 more minutes because he didn't use but 30 seconds. All right, I want to start by thanking my family and friends for being here to support me tonight. I don't have enough time to name them all, but they know who they are. I was not the best. I was just next in line. And I'm going to tell you how I got here tonight. Born and raised on Marvin and Eloise Wilson's dairy farm, I was the baby of 7 kids, 6 girls, then me. That's the truth. We lived in an old farmhouse with 1 bathroom. I didn't have a chance of using that thing. It never worked out. So, of course, Mama couldn't keep any flowers around the house, off the front or back porch. That's just the way it was. My sisters were Joyce, class of 65, Fran, class of 66, Linda, class of 69, Kathy, class of 72, Diane, class of 74, and Billy, class of 75. I graduated in 78. 2 of my sisters, Fran and Linda, have already passed away. Needless to say, we all rode the school bus together. They do things in first grade a little different now than they did when we were coming along. They just dropped me off. First day of school, at the old elementary school that burnt down about 10 years ago, right there next to the football field, the one they tore down for a parking spot now. Dropped me off. So I walk in, find a list, and find my name on the board, go to my teacher's room. Went pretty good till it was time for recess and going to the bathroom. First off, I didn't know what recess was. We didn't have that on the farm. It just didn't work. But I need to go to the bathroom real bad. So I come outside right there where she didn't show us where it was. So I went outside just like I did at the house. So I'm writing my name on the side of the wall now. I was about to dot my I when she grabbed my shoulder. She finally showed us where the bathroom was. True story. And another thing about elementary school, I didn't know we had to wear shoes. And, well, I always wore shoes until I seen Dick Evans without shoes on one day at recess. So we didn't have to wear shoes to elementary school until 1970. Then they made us all wear shoes. We just still didn't wear no socks, but we had shoes on. Ain't that right, Reggie? I'm joking. I played Little League football. Well, I played Little League baseball for Ralph Pippin, for the Braves. Then in the fall, I started playing football for the Packers, coached by Mike Peavy. Had a hard time getting back and forth to practice, but thanks to a neighbor, Miss Mary L. Dennis, Randall's mom, she would haul me and Randall to and from practice most of the time. While playing Little League football, Coach Pitts and Coach Roy Cook were our umpires. Referees, we played on Saturday. Didn't have a rec field. So we played on the football field on Saturday night. And we had just got through losing a close game, and I was crying, which I reckon all kids cry at that age. And Coach Pitts put his arm around me, around my shoulder, and said, "You are acting like a hot dog." So from then on, he called me Ricky Hot Dog, and I've been that for 54 years. And a lot of people in here didn't even know my first name was Ricky. but it is. All right, in the 70s, we didn't have a middle school team like we do today. We had an 8th and 9th grade team and a varsity team. So I started quarterback for the 8th grade team during the fall, and then during the spring of my 8th grade year, Coach Pitts told me I needed to come out for spring football practice. I said, okay, even though I wasn't quite sure what spring football practice meant, but I figured it out pretty quick. So that summer, Mom and Daddy agreed that I could go to the school and work out some as long as I got home by lunch. Come to find out, Randall Dennis and Dick Evans were up there almost every day cutting the football field with two 30-inch snapper lawnmowers. They looked like Forrest Gump out there. They never did get through cutting that thing, because as soon as they got through cutting it, he'd irrigate it, and they'd have to, it was every day they were doing circles on that thing. Never did get through with it. But we did have a chance to have a good time between workouts. Throwing and catching, deck kicking field goals. We had a pass route that we called the crackback route. Randall and I must have practiced it 500 times over the years. The one that I remember was against Washington County in 1975. 447 pass crackback. Randall was wide open. I hit him with a pass for a touchdown. I think it was for like 28 yards. I'm not sure, but wasn't that far, but it was all right. All right, going back to the 9th grade again. Takes a while, y'all. The 9th grade was spent running scout team against the first team defense. It was a lot different than I expected. There's a difference playing against 17, 18-year-old men, and some of them were probably 19 by then, but I ain't gonna call no names, compared to 14-year-old kids. Somewhere during this time, Coach Pitts also started calling me jangle joints. I weighed $130, and I was a complete jangle joints. First game of my freshman year, everybody had to get taped. And the folks that are my age, remember we had to go to the old gym and get taped. Well, Coach Pitts taped the linebackers, fullbacks, and quarterbacks, which means he had about 6 or 8 people to tape. Well, I was always first in line because I had practice getting ready real quick at the house because of the 6 sisters. Anyway, I was first in line. So he taped my left ankle, taped my right ankle. So, of course, I didn't play that night. I was a 9th grader. So the next week, I showed up first again. I put my right foot up. He said, "Did we win last week, Ricky Hot Dog?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "We didn't tape that ankle first last week, did we?" I said, "No." So I switched over and put my left ankle up, my left foot up, and he taped it. And to this day, I put my left sock on first. And I put my left shoe on first. And when I used to dress Amber when she was young, I'd put her left sock on first. Do it with the grandbabies. And if I mess up, I take it off and put it aside, and I grab the other sock, put it on the left foot, and start all over again. Thanks, Coach Pitts. But the team in 1974 ended up playing in Seminole County in the playoffs and lost on penetration. Interesting story that a lot of people may not know. We played in Donaldsonville, Georgia that night. Does anybody know where Donaldsonville, Georgia is? You got to be going there. You just say, you ain't gonna pass through it for fun. It's in the corner of Alabama, Florida, and Georgia. In '74, there was nothing between Cordele and Donaldsonville. There ain't much now, but there was less then. We ate lunch at the Vedder's Steakhouse or restaurant up there, right above where El Tejada is, about 11:30. And then we headed down to Donaldsonville. One bus, 4 coaches, 35 players, and a bus driver, and all the equipment was stacked on the back 2 seats of that bus. And guess who rode on top of the equipment? Me. Got down there, we got about halfway, stopped at a little roadside park. About 4:30, 5 o'clock, we were going to stop for our pregame meal. Well, the managers couldn't find it, so we had to take all the duffel bags out. They thought they may have packed it up under there. They forgot the sandwiches and the yellow bag lays. No supper. Like I said, this is 1974. There's not a quick trip. There's not nothing to stop at. So we played a football game and got beat on penetration 9-8. Or 8-7, doesn't matter. We still got beat. Somebody, Coach Pitts, I wasn't Coach Pitts. It was a principal or the superintendent, got somebody in Donaldsonville to cook us 40 hamburgers. But of course, I'm back there on the duffel bags now, Army duffel bags. I didn't get but half of one. Somebody that played got my other half, and I didn't say nothing because but anyway, I got home. I was hungry when I got home. Had to get up and milk next morning. It wasn't no big deal. Didn't get but 2 hours sleep, but sleep's overrated anyway. A few years later, Coach Pitts and I were talking. Well, I was listening. He was talking. And you better do it because he didn't talk much, but when he did, you listened. We needed 13 quarters to be able to let her. And I had 12 quarters going into the 10th game of the football of my freshman year. And he told me, he said, you thought you was going to let her your freshman year, didn't you? This is about 10 years later. And I said, yeah, I thought I was going to let her. He said, I knew exactly how many you had, how many quarters you had. I wasn't going to let you let her. I said, why? He said, I was afraid if I give you the jacket, you wouldn't come back. So that get us to 1975. We had to replace the entire backfield from 1975. And we replaced them with Jay Hogan, Jerome Chambliss, and Nate Davis at running back, and I got a chance to play quarterback as a 10th grader. The offensive line was James Watkins, Jeff Shiver, Phil Ham, Nipper Bunn, Ernest Williams, tight end Ricky Rooks, Doug Shelnut, wide receivers Randall Dennis and Bruce Harvey, and our captains were Bob Harris and Jeff Shivers. I've been asked over the years, was I nervous about starting as a sophomore? My answer to that every time is no. The only time I ever really remember being real nervous was when I was about to ask Mr. Bob Jones if I could marry his baby girl, Melody. And we were going toward Roosterville, and we left about 25 miles, and I told her she had to take the car. She had to drive because I couldn't make it. I was a mess. I was just a mess. That's the only time I've ever been nervous that I know of. But getting nervous at a football game, no, because I was next in line. There's a line of us that goes from 1959 to 1998. Didn't matter if you was quarterback, offensive line, defensive line, didn't matter. You were next when your time come. And you were supposed to perform. If you didn't, there was somebody else down there that was next. You know? Never did matter. We were just next. All right, let me get back to my thing now. We had a bunch of seniors that year on the offensive line that made the transition much easier for us new guys. We went 8-10, made it to the semifinals against Irwin County. Got beat by penetration again. One thing that happened the week of the practice before we played Irwin County, y'all have to remember I'm 15 years old. I wasn't cocky yet. You got it, somebody got it. I could not complete a pass all week to anybody. Don't know why. I don't even know if I could have hit the side of the old gym up there if I was aiming at it. It was terrible. Like I said, I'm 15 years old. I don't know why things happen. We didn't even attempt to pass the first half of the Irwin County game. Came out the third quarter. He called 26 pass, 2 out. I hit Jay Hogan on the little swing. We got rolling on offense a little bit. Got it tied, ended up losing in penetration. One thing that I didn't know at that time, though, and I learned because of this, is I didn't remember that was the first team to go to the semifinals up under Coach Pitts. Didn't know. We were just playing ball. The next year, 1976, was a complete opposite of 1975. The starting backfield, I got 3 more pages from. The starting backfield, tight end and wide receivers were back, but the coaches had to replace the entire offensive line and a lot of key people on defense. We ended up 7-2-1 for the season, thanks to Randall Dennis, Jay Hogan, Doug Shelnut, Nate Davis, and Randy Fireball Henderson. We set a record for most touchdown passes in a season. I attempted 59, completed 31 for 15 touchdowns. The record stood for over 40 years. Now, my senior year, Mike Walker and I were captains for that year. We had some basketball players, Keith Edge and Samuel Proctor, come out for football that really helped us replace players from the previous year, along with Alvin Toles, Ricky Niblick, Galen Tribble. We were 10-2 that year, region champs, got beat by Early County in the second round of the playoffs. 3 totally different teams. I was a member of 4 totally different teams that all were successful. Because we all were just next. Didn't mean you had to be the best at it. You was just next in line. We were playing our senior year, and Alvin Toles was a freshman. He come in here to replace a senior fullback for us. And I told this to Alvin last Saturday. He beat me to death on the option plays because he never would run the right route. He wouldn't run. He would run a different route every time. So I ended up black and blue all the way down. But we got better at it. About the 7th, 8th game, we playing somebody at home, and we run 19, which is the lead option fullback, come out, pitch. I pulled the ball. We was about at midfield. I pulled the ball out of Alvin's stomach, take it out, pitch it to Danny Brown on the thing, and Danny's running for a touchdown down there toward the steps, where the steps are now. Danny scores, everybody's happy. Come back, the referees all around in the middle of the field, they call the ball dead with Alvin after about a 7-yard gain. And the referee come back and said, sorry, we blow the ball dead, and it's dead right there. I said, but we scored. He said, no, you didn't. It was dead before y'all scored. I said, all right. These umpires were also the umpires that umpired a lot of our softball games, so they knew us. We knew each other. So we huddled back up, and Coach Pitts called the exact same play, so I hollered back at him. I said, hey, Ref, we're doing it again. Don't blow the whistle early. And guess what? Danny scored again. So they didn't defend it the first time, and they didn't know how to defend it again. So they probably tackled Alvin again. They just didn't. I didn't see it on the film, but anyway. So true story about that. I had a chance to go to a junior college in Mississippi. Went to the University of Tennessee Chattanooga for a visit, and believe it or not, I went to Atlanta for an interview with a recruiter from Dartmouth College out of the Ivy League. First time I ever been on that side of Atlanta in my life. The only problem was, one of the questions he asked me that day and told me I had to do was to write a review of the last book I read. Well, that wasn't going to happen. Because I hadn't read a book from cover to cover since I was in the 5th grade. So I did not go to Dartmouth. It's a good thing, too. I was an honor graduate. They probably couldn't have understood me at all. I was an honor graduate, finished my freshman year of college. During my senior year, I graduated from Gordon College in 1979. I chose to stay on the family farm. Had no idea that 46 years later I would still be there. I tell people that I have moved 4 times in my life and never hit the highway. In May of 1979, while riding through Tiff College one Saturday night, I was introduced to Melody Jones from Franklin, Hurd County, Georgia. But she really grew up in Roosterville. Try to find that on a map. We found one map with Roosterville on it in 44 years of being together. We rode around Forsyth for a couple of hours, which was real hard to do back then. I knew the night we met she would be my wife one day. We got engaged in October of 1979, married July 19th, 1980, which happened to be a very good year for me and her and MP football. Let's talk about the 80s. During my term as Touchdown Club president, the parking pass was started. Bill Pace and I pre-scouted for Coach Pitts. We went to Waycross in 1984 to the old baseball stadium. And we noticed a bunch of cars had Touchdown Club parking decals on them. So I brought the idea back home, and that's how it all got started. We've been doing it 40 years now. In August 1987, Melly and I welcomed our baby girl, Amber, to our family. So I no longer pre-scouted for Coach Pitts. I took Melly and Amber to all the MP games. In the 90s and 2000s, it was all about help raising Amber, farming, and MP football. That's what our life rotated around. At this point, you just hope we did a decent job at all 3 because they were all very important parts of our lives. Amber became a varsity cheerleader, which included being on the competition team. So I became a cheerleading dad. That's interesting. All I can say about cheerleading, I didn't understand the scoring system in 2003 to 2005, and I still don't. But it was fun to watch. We went to every one of them. Amber's graduation picture that year was the year she graduated, was with one of our baby calves born on the farm. Then off to college she went, Georgia Southwestern, America's Georgia. And of course, the usual thing happened. You send them off to college, and they bring more back home with them, which happened to be Josh Ridley. Good son-in-law, sometimes. I've got a lot of stories about Josh. That would take another 30 to 45 minutes because they are long and complicated. They got married in November 19th of 2011. They blessed us with a grandson, Wilson, born February 4th, 2016, and a granddaughter, Aubrey Grace, born December 18th, 2019. We're all looking forward to watching our next generation of MP Bulldogs play football, basketball, and cheer, or whatever they want to do. And Wilson wants to wear my number 14. In closing, most kids have one daddy to help them through life. I had 3. My daddy, Coach Pitts, and Bob Jones, my father-in-law. Growing up on the farm, in MP football helped me, molded me into what I am today. A pretty good husband, pretty good friend, an above average father. But I will tell you what I'm real good at is just being Papa. Thank y'all. I told Frank we would get it home before Dallas come on tonight.
I was worried about the Monday 5 o'clock newscast. Well, Hot Dog has put a bow on this. Jim's going to come up and close it out. Thank you all for letting me be a part of this wonderful event. God bless all of you. Guys, you're the best.
Mr. Bill Lyons, God bless you.